Hello, I'm Chris Sarley, Investment Research Analyst at Fund Calibre, and today I'm delighted to be joined by John Bennett, Manager of the elite-rated Janus Henderson European Focus and European Select Opportunities Funds. John, thank you for joining us today.
My pleasure.
You've said before that you're excited when economies go into recessions because you get bargains. How excited are you in this scenario, and does the threat of depression temper that optimism?
Yeah, well, in some ways there's quite a lot of ironies, isn't there? Because some commentators, I think, have said ever since the great financial crisis of '08 that central bankers have spent their time and effort and printed money on trying to avoid recession, trying to make sure we don't go into one. And in a sense, we all knew the reasons for that because of the debt situation globally and the fear of debt deflation. So that was a narrative for a good part of a decade. Let's avoid recession, one narrative. And along comes this. And yes, ordinarily, I would say, great, you get a recession, you get bargains. You don't get bargains typically in very buoyant, bullish times. But of course, at the risk of saying this time it's different, this time it really is different in terms of this is not a sort of waxing and waning of an economic cycle, if you like, which you would get a normal recession as a result of the natural ebb and flow of how economies and how the cycle tends to develop. Of course, we didn't have that for 10 years, as I said. So we're all on the lookout. I was on the lookout for a normal recession. This is not normal, of course. What we've got is an induced coma for the economy, an economy plunged into deep freeze globally, a control-alt-delete, call it what you will, sleep mode, call it what you will, but we haven't experienced this before. So it is, of course, no ordinary recession. And I think whether you're a fund manager or any other walk of life running a business, you're trying to gauge how this looks coming out the other side of it, but also the duration of it. This, we call it a huge gorge or a huge valley, how deep and how wide it is. That is actually every conversation we have with companies right now, CEOs, CFOs, that's exactly the narrative. That's so many of them say to us, your guess is as good as mine as to how it looks coming out the other side. And here we are at this very moment where governments around the world are trying to ease the lockdown and get us out of this. They are discovering, they probably knew it, but if they didn't, they know it now, getting the world economy pushing it into lockdown, pushing it into this induced deep freeze, hell of a lot easier than bringing it out. And that's exactly where we are just now. So no, it's not something that excites me for that reason. It's so unusual, and it's of course very deep in terms of the GDP collapses that we're seeing and the rocketing of unemployment that comes with that. So it's not usual, obviously. The second reason I can't say that I'm excited is look at the rally we've had. Now, I wouldn't say excited, but in March we did deploy some cash, especially in our investment trust, which is able to borrow. And we actually utilized that borrowing facility to invest a bit and take advantage of some collapsing share prices. But actually look at the severity of the rally, aided and abetted by, you might say, the new sugar rush of yet more QE printed money. The sky's the limit in terms of, you look at the taps that have been turned on by central banks. So the extent of the rally, especially in the more favored parts of the market, and here I'm actually looking not just at Europe, but look at the NASDAQ, the darlings of the last decade. They've just been turbocharged again in this rally, many of them going to new absolute highs and certainly relative highs. Global growth is absolutely panning value. So the market has moved very, very quickly, I do think, aided and abetted by yet more manufactured printed money. And government and central bank largesse together. That rally means that I can't sit here and say, wow, we've got the recession. My goodness, we've got a deep recession right now. But I can't sit here and say we've got wonderful bargains. No.
John, thank you very much for spending time with us today.
Thank you. Thanks.
For more information on the Janus Henderson European Focus and European Select Opportunities Funds, please visit fundcalibre.com.